When you've done the internal work that creates a solid foundation for the change that you want to happen, you create a sense of readiness within, which translates to a sense of readiness without. And then that just works. It just happens seamlessly. It happens in tandem. When you're trying to force it to happen, which I definitely have been, that's usually why those things don't stick. That's usually why people lose the weight but can't keep it off. It's usually why they end up out of a relationship and feeling better, but then they get into another relationship, and that relationship is just as bad as the other one, if not worse. Or maybe just even a little bit better, right? But still has a lot of problems. It's why you get some money, but then you lose it all again, and you have to manifest it more, right? When you're operating from that surface level perspective, when you're operating from those lower chakras, when you haven't done the work and you're just trying to force it into existence, that's why you're struggling to get it and struggling to keep it. So I'm gonna make an acai bowl and an orange key lime juice. I'm so hungry. We're getting ready to buy a really, really nice juicer so I can actually start making oat milk at home, and then obviously having natural juices. The one that I have is just older and bigger and harder to clean, so I hate pulling it out just for one juice. So we're gonna be using my blender for that. I'm gonna add some lemon juice to it. Obviously I'm gonna add these key limes, and then I'm making an acai bowl. I'm gonna start with the juice. Oh! Alrighty! I don't want to spill any, but it's super dark purple. This is so good. I should check this later. I'm not mixing foods. I have to read this to you guys because this is really big. I'm reading Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Dispenza. He just outlined all of the different energy centers, the chakras, and what each center is responsible for, the hormones, the energy, all of that. So now he's talking about evolving our energy. He says, but what happens when we do more with our energy than just survive? This is gonna be long, so just hold on. What happens when instead of releasing all of our energy outward to procreate, to digest food, to run from danger, and so on, we begin to consistently evolve some of that energy upward from one center to the next, increasing its frequency as it ascends. At first, when I read this, what he's about to explain about the evolving our energy, I didn't fully grasp how much this literally applied in my life. But I think he outlines a very interesting thing. And so I'm gonna read it and kind of break it down a little bit. First off, how he said, what happens when instead of releasing our energy, releasing all of our energy outward to procreate, digest food, to run from danger, and so on, All of those actions are governed by the lower chakras, our first three for the most part. So when you're in survival mode, usually your energy is stuck in those three lower chakras. And it makes it really hard for you to get that energy moving and going up, right? Procreating, whether that's literally just having sex or literally like trying to procreate, having children, running from danger, right? Because we're in survival mode. So even though we're not running from a lion, we are running from whatever is causing us to feel like we're in danger, not having food, not having money. So because we don't have money, we don't have food, so we might die, things like that, right? And digest food. Hence why I'm getting so into eating the foods that we eat. Our body exerts a lot of energy just to break down our foods. And so that's why if you're eating foods that are lacking in the essential nutrients that you need, that you really can only get from eating, then your body is exerting all of this energy to break it down, but not getting any of that energy back. So you're essentially depleting yourself. And when you've done that for years and years and years, you've slowly broken down your body's defenses over that time, right? And like I said, the vast majority of us in the world, especially here in America, are operating from those lower chakras. I want to note here that it is absolutely possible to eat whatever food you want, to have as much sex as you want, to really do whatever you want and still have a healthy flow of energy. The point I'm simply trying to make is that those actions require a lot of energy from your body to fulfill. And when we are exerting all of our energy towards those actions, and those actions are not reciprocating energy that we can use to contribute to higher expressions of self, it causes that energy and your self-expression to be limited to those actions. Does that make sense? And when you can't move past that, it means that you can't bridge the spiritual in the physical. So he says, we start out by channeling our creative energy from the first center. When we feel safe and secure enough to create, the creative energy evolves, ascending and flowing into the second center. So when you feel a sense of safety, your environment is relatively safe, you have maybe an amount of money where you feel like, okay, I can get what I need with this money, then that energy can move into the second center. When we have to master some limitation or overcome some condition in our environment, we are able to put that creative energy to good use. And then it will flow to the third center, the seat of our will and power. So that's pretty self-explanatory. You feel safe to create, right? So that energy moves into that second center. Well, now there are these other adversities in your life that you must overcome. Like your general safety is solved, but now getting to that like somewhat next level, you use that energy in the second center to overcome whatever adversity is right there in your environment, in your immediate experience. So then it moves into the third center, the seat of our will and power. And this is when you can start to see yourself be feeling more capable of doing more than just the bare minimum in life. When we successfully transcend the adversity in our life, which has challenged us to grow and overcome, we have the opportunity to feel more whole, more free, and more satisfied. And we're then able to feel genuine love for self and others as the energy flows through and activates the fourth center. So when it's in that third center, right, when we've successfully transcended that adversity, when our perspective on that adversity changes, right, instead of looking at the adversity as like, oh my gosh, life is so hard for me, or poor me, woe is me, like feeling sorry for ourselves, when we start to see, okay, this adversity in my life, it has evolved me into who I am today, it has added to my value. You create a healthy and grateful relationship with it. The energy moves into the fourth center. And this is when we can start to feel more whole as an individual, where that safety feels really solidified because we feel safe within ourselves. This is when we start to feel more love because we feel it for ourselves, we genuinely feel it for others as well. And when that happens, you start to feel that desire to express, right? So let's go. Okay, my battery got exhausted. And I'm also sharing this out loud because me saying it out loud is helping me understand it even more. I still wasn't quite understanding the movement through the first 3 chakras. So me saying it out loud is like bringing more clarity as well. When that happens, we then want to express our present truth, what we've learned or the love or wholeness we feel. And that allows the energy to move through and turn on the 5th center. That's our throat chakra, which is literally like our expression. So when that throat chakra is activated, you then want to express, and then you do. You should express. You got to express. If you don't, again, that energy will get stuck here, and that will cause other issues. It says, after this, when the evolution of energy activates the 6th center, so the dormant areas of the brain open so that the veil of illusion is lifted and we perceive a broader spectrum of reality than we saw before. We then begin to feel enlightened. The body moves into harmony and balance, and our external environment, including the natural world surrounding us, also moves into more harmony and balance as the energy ascends in activating the 7th center. Again, I'm just talking about this because I want to share this with from my own experience. If you're like me and you were introduced to information on manifesting, creating the dream life that you want, and you find out that this is possible, you start dabbling in the work, right? It can feel really frustrating because, at least for me, when I didn't understand the depth, I didn't understand how deep the lack of worthiness that I felt, the lack of faith that I had, I didn't understand how deeply rooted that was inside of me. And so when I first started this, a lot of it was very surface level. And that can be really frustrating because in your head, you're like, well, I'm doing the work. I'm saying the affirmations. I'm learning the information. I believe that it's possible. So why is it not happening? And I resisted going deeper and deeper within myself. And then after some point, I finally said, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go into all of these deep, dark, shadowy spots of myself. Let's go deeper, let's go deeper, let's go deeper. I had to do a lot of work around sense of worthiness, love for self. I had to do a lot of work around my belief in what is possible in this world. Because even when I saw that these things were possible, fully believed that they were possible for somebody like me, a girl that didn't come from money, a brown girl. I did not grow up seeing a lot of abundance in my family. And I'm saying abundance of money, abundance of time, abundance of health. I did not grow up seeing that. And so even though I'm trying to manifest these things in my life and I believe that they exist, I had to do work around my beliefs around people like me, understanding that people who have a background like mine are worthy and capable of having this kind of life, and then me specifically, that I am worthy and capable of living this life, right? I had to go deeper and deeper and deeper. When you think about survival mode, you kind of are stuck existing on the surface. You can't really go any deeper than that because you don't feel safe to. You're in survival mode. You don't feel safe in your home. You don't feel safe in your relationship. You don't feel safe around your family. You don't feel safe in your job. You don't feel safe in your body. Like whatever it is, whatever your experience is, for some reason you don't feel safe to explore deeper, and you aren't even consciously aware of how unsafe you feel because that's your norm. That's the reality that you know. And more than likely, if that's the reality you're experiencing, you also know other people who are also experiencing that reality. So for you, that is life. That is what life is for people like you. And depending on how isolated your life is, you might literally believe that that's just life in general. You're kind of kept in that box. Yeah, so then back. So we're expressing ourselves because we feel safe to express ourselves. We feel safe to express our love. And when we do that, we begin to feel enlightened. Our body moves into more harmony and balance. The cool thing about this is that everything's in divine timing. At the same time that I'm feeling more enlightened and wanting my body and wanting my environment to come into harmony, my body is ready to come into harmony. My environment is ready to come into harmony. So we start working in tandem together, like I just said, right? Like, I consciously know that I want to eat better because I want my body to be healthy. while at the same time my body starts craving these healthier foods. My body starts enjoying these healthier foods and rejecting these unhealthy foods. The money starts showing up for me to be able to go out and buy these healthy foods, or for me to be able to plant my own seeds. The information starts showing up easily, how to maintain these plants, how to maintain these herbs, things like that. And because I'm consciously ready for it, I'm ready to receive that information so that I can apply it and co-create harmony and balance in my body and in my life. That's why they say, like, the quickest way to your manifestation is by doing the inner work, because when you've done the internal work that creates a solid foundation for the change that you want to happen, you create a sense of readiness within, which translates to a sense of readiness without. And then that just works. It just happens seamlessly. It happens in tandem. When you're trying to force it to happen, which I definitely have been, and that's usually why those things don't stick. That's usually why people lose the weight but can't keep it off. It's usually why they end up out of a relationship and feeling better, but then they get into another relationship, and that relationship is just as bad as the other one, if not worse. Or maybe just even a little bit better, right? But still has a lot of problems. It's why you get some money, but then you lose it all again, and you have to manifest it more, right? When you're operating from that surface level perspective, when you're operating from those lower chakras, that's why you're struggling to get it and struggling to keep it. When you do the inner work to become who you need to be, that's really the hardest part. It becomes way easier to hold on to it, right? The woman that I was listening to, Mina from the Universe Guru, she mentioned this quote that the Pope asked, and I could be paraphrasing, this could not be totally right, but this is what she said. She said she heard that the Pope asked Michelangelo how he created the form of David and the statue of David. And Michelangelo said, well, David was always there. I just chipped away everything that wasn't him. And I just got goosebumps. I love hearing that. When she said that, at first it didn't really hit, but then I digested it for a second and really thought about that. And that really is what this work literally is. That is what this work is. It is a chipping away of everything that isn't you. And it can start very surface level, right? Like, I'm not a broke person. I'm not a lacking person. I'm not a selfish person. I'm not a greedy person. I used to be somebody who loves sweets. I have now decided that I'm not somebody who loves processed sugar. I'm chipping away at that. I'm not somebody who doesn't speak up. Let me rephrase that. Who I actually am is somebody who speaks up for themselves, right? So I'm chipping away the parts of myself that have kept me from speaking up. Obviously, I'm not perfect. These are just examples of aspects of myself that I feel that I've been, that I want to cut away as I move into the next version of myself. It's very important to become aware of what those aspects are in order to consciously choose to let go of them. And that's really what this journey is. It's evolution, but it's also a chipping away. It's a return to self. Return to sit. Anyway, which is so funny. It's so funny because when I picked return to sit, I really was like, this is my journey of returning to self. And I'm doing it in a way that's showing other people that they can do the same. I even see it in my physical appearance as I look at older pictures of myself and I'm like, wow, I am not that person. Like, that version of myself I feel so disconnected from that person who I've been, who I was. She doesn't resonate with me anymore. And here I am years later, and I'm envisioning this very similar, same version of myself that I've been seeing since I was a little girl. Specifically recently, I've been able to see her in my mind and feel myself as her. I just have some more chipping to do. And the reality is, as I become once I get to this version of self that I see in my mind's eye, like, there will be more evolution that comes after that. A higher, more evolved version of her that I will be envisioning at that point, right? This is an ongoing journey. It never ends. The work never stops. I feel like I went on a whole tangent. The next part is, once we feel that enlightened energy, we begin to truly feel worthy, and the energy can finally rise to activate the 8th center, where we receive the fruits of our efforts. Visions, dreams, insights, manifestations, and knowingness that come not from anywhere within our minds and bodies as memories, but from a greater power in and around us. This continuous flow of evolving energy from our first center to our eighth center is illustrated in figure 4.4. So these are the centers of the body. This is 1, this is 8. I'm like covering my mouth. This is 1, this is 8. Most people know of the first 7. The 8th is Ka, known as Ka. It exists above your body and outside of your body. Right here are the frequencies that represent these different energy centers of the body, right? So as the energy moves from the first to the second, the energy evolves into something with a slightly higher frequency. As it moves to the third, same thing. To the fourth, same thing. Fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. And you get that really tight, high frequency vibration right here at the Ka. This is like a frequency of the cosmos, a frequency of higher knowing, being able to receive that information. Why? Because angel, whatever you want to call it, spirit, source, angels, they exist up here, more up here. When we are tapped in up here, that's when, we're able to identify what truly aligns with us, not from an ego perspective, but from a higher self perspective. And when we are able to identify that, that's when we are more receptive to the way to getting to that manifestation. That's when it becomes easier to get to that manifestation, right? I don't know. I feel like, can we just focus on me? I gotta go. I have to go pick up Brian. That was a great talk. I didn't even intend to share all that with you guys, but saying it out loud made it super clear for me. And I could go on and 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 just keep talking and talking and talking. But I think I explained that pretty well, so hopefully that makes sense. So I didn't really film an outro for this video, but I just wanted to show you guys the book again, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. This book has so much amazing energy. This book has so much information that has brought so much clarity to me, and he really does a great job of breaking the spiritual down with like scientific research, very clear explanations, and it's helped me a lot so far. I haven't even made it halfway through the book. There's so much more that I want to share with you guys, and I probably will continue to reference this book a lot on this channel, but you should get your own copy. I'll put a link to it down in the description. But if you found this video to be very helpful, or the information resonated with you and you want to see more videos like this, please let me know in the comments down below so I can do more of that.